Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Janelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn in for Russ Riesinger. It's all eyes on the U.S. Senate now that the House has officially impeached the president.
Senators will hold a trial to decide if President Trump will be removed from office, an unlikely scenario given the current party makeup of the Senate.
But for now, the process is at an impasse as Congress heads home for the holidays.
CBS's Skylar Henry breaks down what's next.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell met with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer Thursday afternoon, trying to reach an agreement on how a Senate trial will proceed after the House impeached President Trump.
As of today, however, we remain at an impasse.
Democratic and Republican senators differ on how the trial should be conducted. Republicans want it to be quick. Democrats want more witnesses and testimony.
McConnell has ranted and raved, but he hasn't had a single direct answer why there shouldn't be witnesses.
First, the Senate must get the two articles of impeachment from the House approved Wednesday night.
Article 2 is adopted.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has not made clear when that will happen.
The next thing for us will be when we see the process that is set forth in the Senate. Then we'll know the number of managers that we may have to go forward.
I admit, I'm not sure what leverage there is in refraining from sending us something we do not want.
The House voted along party lines to approve the articles of impeachment. Every Republican voted no. All Democrats voted yes, except 4. One of them is New Jersey Democrat Jeff Van Drew.
Jeff will be joining the Republican Party.
He met with President Trump Thursday in the Oval Office.
Ronald Reagan, and when he said, I didn't leave my party,
right.
My party left me.
That's true. That's what he said.
And I'm saying the same thing.
He was a Democrat, and he moved over.
President Trump personally wooed Van Drew before the vote. He's facing a tough re-election fight in a district the president won in 2016. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
So the Senate trial had been expected to begin in early January, but the timeline won't become clear until the House delivers the articles.
Well, it was the 6th and smallest Democrat presidential debate so far this year. And with just about 24 hours between the historic impeachment and tonight's event, candidates wasted no time bringing up the obvious topic. While impeachment dominated much of the night, climate change was also a hot discussion, especially given that tonight's debate was held in California. 15 Democrats are still in the race, but only 7 faced off tonight.
One day after the bitterly divided House voted to impeach President Trump, the chamber today came together and passed the U.S.-Mexico-Canada free trade agreement. It was an overwhelming vote, passing 385 to 41. The new trade deal replaces NAFTA. Natalie Brand has the latest for us now from the White House.
The bill is passed.
The House wrapped up its 2019 business with the passage of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal, or USMCA.
USMCA is a good agreement, is a fair agreement, and it's a bipartisan agreement.
It shows that compromise can be made, that we can put politics aside.
House Democrats worked with negotiators from all 3 countries for months behind closed doors to add more enforcement mechanisms and labor protections.
Big distance between what the administration was proposing to begin with in all of those areas and to where we ended up.
Now you have the Democrats trying to take credit for this deal, and that's okay. Whatever it takes.
President Trump bashed Democrats for weeks for not taking up USMCA sooner, but now one of his signature economic achievements will be temporarily held up by the Republican-controlled Senate. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said he likely won't take up USMCA until after a possible Senate impeachment trial.
We have confidence that this is going to become law.
Neil Bradley of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce says after months of trade uncertainty, this new deal provides relief to American businesses.
They have some sense of what the future looks like. They can worry a lot less about Washington and what the rules of the road are going to be and worry about how they grow their business.
USMCA, which upgrades NAFTA, contains a new chapter for digital trade and aims to boost standards and market access for small business and agriculture. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Montana Congressman Greg Gianforte voted in favor of the USMCA and says he believes it'll be a major boost to Montana agriculture.
Well, 2 more people facing charges tonight after Tuesday's triple murder in Great Falls. Amanda Gilbreth, an acquaintance of the shooting suspect, is now charged with obstructing justice. At first, Gilbreth denied she saw Ricky Gardapi in the days leading up to the murders, but now she admits to police that Gardapi was at her home the day before he committed the shootings. Now, another man, Johnny Comiotis, is charged with tampering with physical evidence and resisting arrest. A 4th victim is recovering in a Great Falls hospital after he was shot point blank in the back of the head. A fundraiser post says that Timothy Edwards moved just in time for the bullet to go through his face instead of his brain.
The names of 2 DUI victims were added to Yellowstone County's Angel Tree today. It happened during a noontime ceremony at the Yellowstone County Courthouse. Now, the Angel Tree ceremony honors victims who have lost their lives in alcohol-related crashes in Yellowstone County. The names of Sterling Dominguez and Jeff Dykeman now grace that Angel Tree. The 20-year-old Dominguez died back in May of last year when he was struck by a DUI driver as he crossed a Billings street. Dykeman, who was 52, was struck and killed by an impaired driver who ignored detour signs at a construction site near South Billings Boulevard. That accident back in October of 2018. Sterling and Jeff's names will also be added to the victim's plaque. That plaque is on permanent display in the courthouse lobby. Also, 4 individuals in law enforcement and 2 community members were honored today with the awards of merit at this ceremony for their contributions to DUI awareness and enforcement. Community members Casey Keith and Tracy Jordan were singled out, along with Billings Police Officer Cameron Farrell Fox, MSUB Police Officer Don Citroni, Yellowstone County Sheriff Deputy Harrison Gillen, and Officer Chase Rasmussen with the Laurel Police Department.
And turning now to weather with Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Most of us have our eyes on the upcoming 50s, but Bobby, you have got a skier's dream.
Yeah, we're talking about the snowpack. You know, last time we saw the snowpack was in early November, and we were at about 149% of normal. That's not the case now. It's gone a little bit down, but we're still okay. Let me show you what we're talking about. As you can see here, this is what we have. We're now 109% of normal. Since then, what happened in the Upper Yellowstone Valley, we didn't have very much normal snowfall because it was kind of early in the season. Well, now the normal has gone up, and the amount of snow that has fallen has gone down, but we're still, as you see, ahead of normal. We're at over 100%. Areas in green are either right at around 100% or actually a little bit above. Areas in blue, like around Great Falls, they're way above normal. They're 143% of normal. Now, out in western Montana by Missoula and the Kalispell, you notice snowpack there has gone down quite a bit. They have not had a lot of snow this year, and so as you'll notice, they're about anywhere from 64 to 75% of average, and so that's what's happening for them. They're a little bit down, and we're still hanging in there. We'll have the rest of your weekend forecast with no snow in it in a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Santa Claus showed up to celebrate some of Montana's tiniest patients today and their parents, those people who have to spend Christmas in the hospital this year.
He visited the St. Vincent Healthcare Neonatal Intensive Care Unit in Billings this afternoon. As the babies build up strength before they can go home, they got their first photos with Santa today.
Santa, who also calls himself Kris Kringle, says he's been cheering up families at the St. Vincent NICU for more than 2 decades.
It's been hard being in NICU with Christmas next week, but just a little bit of sunshine helped. He was legit, and he was the real Santa. They've definitely gone above and beyond for the families. They definitely make the holidays and the NICU stay a lot easier.
Pretty impressive. These are some good folks right here. Wouldn't trade it for nothing. I mean, look at this. Doesn't get any better than that. No, doesn't.
Santas and babies.
They go together pretty
better.
naturally, huh? And Santa tells us over the last 20 years as some of those NICU babies have grown up, well, they've brought in those infant photos with them to share with him when they come to visit.
Nice. Well, at 56 schools across the country, students created a one-of-a-kind ornament for the 2019 National Christmas Tree in Washington, D.C.
Now, this year, the Montana ornament comes from Missoula Hellgate High School. MTN's Lewis Dortch brings us the story.
This year, one school from each state was picked to create an ornament for the National Christmas Tree, and in Montana, that school was Hellgate High School. Now, there are a few guidelines these students need to follow for this assignment. 1, the ornament had to have red and green in it, and 2, it had to represent something from your state.
Well, the idea was to do something that represented Montana in its entirety. So we chose something that represents Montanans as fishing, so we chose the cutthroat and kind of went from there.
The idea for the ornament came entirely from students, and it was the perfect assignment for this Intro to Art class.
So we actually took strips, and on 2 of the strips we painted a tail, and like either a head or an eye, and on a third strip we did like a watercolor pattern of the fish pattern, and then we used ink to outline the eyes and the tails and all the details and put the dots.
As you can imagine, this project was very exciting for these high school students, and maybe just a little bit nerve-wracking as well.
I was really excited, but then I was kind of like, well, I don't want to mess this up because that'd be kind of embarrassing.
I was actually so excited when I found out about it because I immediately texted my parents and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a bulb for the National Christmas Tree, so I thought it was really exciting.
In Missoula, Louis Dortch, MTN News.
Thanks, Louis. Still ahead on tonight's 10 o'clock news, the lights may be bright, but for some, the holiday season brings the longest night. We'll look at how to get help in times of grief.
And later in sports, we hear from the other side as North Dakota State details what they're looking for Saturday from the Cats.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.